something she stood up against. I don't remember. And then they like somebody put the CIA on her, and she had to flee the country because she was speaking out against like racism. And it's like, how dare you? The audacity of you to think that you and I both have privileges to ride the rise of my United States. Get back to work. You were only meant to be builders and workers here. And that's the mentality of a lot of white people, you know what I mean? But as
Mm.
we kind of explore, if we get past that and we get connected to our humanity as humans, there was a disconnect. But as a black people, we have risen so far above every imaginable challenge that has faced us and recreated something beautiful where black culture is replicated on every continent.
For sure.
Who does that?
For sure.
Who has
And
done
yeah. No, and I think though that people have to not let history debilitate them. And I think that that is what a lot of people do. Like a lot of people will hear about a lot of black people will hear about history, and they're already defeated. So thoughts, feelings, and behaviors is the framework for CBT,
that? Right.
right? So it's not the situation, it's the way we think about it. So you get two black people, and let's say, and they're in the same situation, they're black in America. And let's say that, my helpful thought has been, I'm black, I have this history, people been fighting for me, and I am going to be mindful about my decisions because I know what I'm up against. Okay, where you have some black people that their thought is nothing I ever do is going to matter anyway. They don't really like us. All I really want to say is they don't really care about us. And so you're going to have two different feelings after that. I'm motivated to get out here and grind and be black girl magic. The person is thinking the alternative thought that, all I want to say is they don't really care about us. No matter how hard I work, I'm still not going to do it. That person is not motivated. They're defeated. And thus they do things that, okay, are quote unquote working the system. So I'm going to get this and I'm going to take advantage. And it's really about mindset. I mean, and I know some of it has been like historically passed down, in terms of, like, these people don't care about you, so this is how you get ahead. Don't ever really, you ain't got to go to nobody college and be letting these people teach you these things. And you have to be accountable and responsible for whatever decisions it is that you make that put you in those circumstances. And so me and my best friend often talk about, like, a song that plays in the background of like most people's mind, and that song that plays can either motivate you again or it can keep you stagnant. Like for me, it's like, that like, I whatever, if I had to have like an old school playlist song, like it would be something about like progression and, you know what I'm saying, moving forward. But I do think some people are hearing nothing but, old Negro spirituals that kind of keep them stuck, because the thought is, if I do anything, it's not going to matter anyway.
You know, that's
And that's something important to kind of be mindful of, is that what permission are you giving yourself based on history?
that's
Because
such
some
a
people
good
like to take
that's
it
such
away.
a point, and you touched on like five different things, and I'm glad I have a little notepad here because I hope I get to them. One, um, when you think about the indoctrination of Black people in America, it can be overwhelming if no one challenged that. So if you come in up in a household with someone of your parents who have a lower cognitive or intellectual functioning, and they could not, or they have not developed the skills to challenge or enhance what's being learned in an academic environment. So from what you get from school is all you got. And when you get to a point of furthering your education, that PTSD, post traumatic slave syndrome, kicks in, where if it was someone who was educated, they were seen as a threat, right, to this societal, because we were supposed to be lower than consistently, and it becomes a challenge to maintain the home, the safety of the home, if somebody went against that historically in a slave context. But now, as we also know, the experiencing trauma in the home, experiencing childhood trauma, it changes the way we interact with our environments. And so, where it might be simple for you to say, oh, you have to challenge your thoughts, your feelings, and your behavior, oh, you have to recognize that this is not a healthy perspective. Pause. I've been, one, indoctrinated, two, reinforced, three, my lens supports all of the things that I'm saying, and no one has ever told me that I have the capacity to get past this certain point. So they don't care about us. I haven't learned to care about myself. And what is it you want me to do? Change my thoughts to what? Sunshine and rainbows? How I'm going to do that, miss? It's just like it's so many levels to deprogramming that thought process to get to a point of even seeing progression as a possibility, that we have to acknowledge that as practitioners,
Mm-hmm.
because we tend to have this educated experience of the A, B, C, D, cause, effect, that we don't recognize the complexities of people's experience and how that changes the information they receive and their behavioral responses to environmental triggers.
No, absolutely. And I think it boils down to um one, like I said, being goal oriented, and two, what you hold the person responsible for. Like, so if a person were to, like, when people come and they speak or they work with me, I do say the alternative is to keep doing it the way you've been doing it. I mean, you know what I'm saying? Like, I mean, you do have two choices. A, you could follow what I'm saying, and I'm not saying it's going to be easy, or B, you could keep doing it the way that you're doing it, and that's fine also, because you've made it this far doing it how you've been doing it. You know what I'm saying? Like, I mean, so you don't have to change. You can, people live their whole lives being indoctrinated, being suppressed, being oppressed, being traumatized, be people live their whole life like that, and it impacts their quality of life, and they pass it on to generations. So at some point it's kind of like a choice has to be made, and it's going to be uncomfortable, and it's going to be hard, and it's like, are you wanting to do it? Sometimes you stop and you quit, and that's why I always liken it to physical health. I got some sorority sisters or homegirls, they shape like a brick house no matter what. I have to go to the gym every single day to I just have to. You know what I'm saying? I have to get some sort of physical activity because I'm a foodie. I like to eat. And I realize that there's consequences for the way that I like to eat. Like, you know what I'm saying? I don't have nothing just naturally, like, my stomach ain't flat naturally. It's never been. You know what I'm saying? Like, I've always struggled with weight going up and down and fluctuating. And I can either get mad and say genetics and why this person like this. And like they say disease is hereditary because diet is hereditary. And my family, they all letting me eat like I still just kind of have a choice. And I choose balance because at the end of the day, I don't have no six pack because I do like to eat. And I still do. I tell any personal trainer I'm training with, I'm not cutting food off at a certain time. You gonna have to help. I'm outside. I like to have fun, so you gonna have to work with that framework. So when people come to me and they have those, like you said, that's their thought about it, is like, okay, I am indoctrinated, or I have had these things. How can I just change it? I tell them it's a process. I tell them how much time I need, but also say it's gonna be uncomfortable. You can tell me where your boundaries set at. They be like, oh no, I ain't doing that. Especially like if it's related to like an exposure that I may want them to engage in. So it's one of those things, like I said, where it just all boils down to choice. And here's the biggest thing, because I realized, dang, this time went by so fast. It's already 5:32. I just got a
Right.
countdown notice that the time is moving forward. But what I wanted to say, like in closing with that, is just that we choices and dealing with the choices that you decide to make. Like when sometimes, you know, like I may be driving with one hand or with my knee. If a cop see me and I'm driving with my knee, I just got to be ready to deal with it. I can't say, oh, well, I had to drive with my knee because I had to answer the phone, or this was happening. I don't have a baby, but my baby was crying, I had to do these things. At the end of the day, he still can give me a ticket. Like, I think that we have to like accept that we are responsible for whatever choice it is we make. And if it and that's just kind of like what it is, because we can't, you know, rewrite history. The past is the past, but it's like we can focus on how we want to move forward. But that's why I keep certain types of people around me, is people like me, but I also got a lot of people that think very differently than me around me, to either further confirm how I already feel about it, or give me an alternative perspective, because you know, I need them. As educated and as much as I know and as mindful as I am, I can still benefit from, you know, like an alternative thought from somebody.
How much time we have left? Like 30 seconds or what?
I, that's what I was getting ready to say. No, it can stay on. It's going to stay on for a second. I don't have anything until 6 o'clock. Is when I have a session. Like somebody reached out to me today for an emergency session. So I am you know, I have that at 6. But I think we can tackle one more perspective where you can give additional feedback on that.
Yeah, just definitely wanted to say another thing you kind of mentioned on is like music, or the music in the background. I had an experience which I understood later to be the dark night of the soul. I don't know if that's something you've heard before. But through that experience and through actively participating in therapy, I had to learn about the natural and spiritual practices I actively participate in that feed me, that encourage me to be the person that I want to become. And so, like you said, it's behaviors, it's practices, and those practices support the person you want to become. And it's a person you want to become, that person that you've been, so that there's no change, or is a person you want to become absolutely transformed. And it will take an act of God for that to happen. And
Mhm.
sometimes when that act of God happens, it's really challenging for us to navigate through that, because we didn't know all of these things could have been uprooted and could have shaped or changed or impacted our lives in such a way. And it's so
Mhm.
important to, like we kind of mentioned earlier, actively participate and maintaining those safe spaces, creating those spaces, recognizing what you need in order for you to sustain a level of peace or understanding or stability as you continue to navigate through life's challenges.
For sure. For sure. I think that what you just said kind of reminds me of people giving themselves permission.
Mm.
You know what I'm saying? Permission to be able to heal, to be who they need to be, et cetera, et cetera. So yeah, this was a good dialogue. I think we got a lot of things covered and addressed. I do like when people can like give real time feedback, but like I just Facebook is doing something wonky with like their third allowing third parties. Like that's another thing with these conversations, when the people that want to have them, that's qualified to have them, is trying to have them, it's always like a monkey wrench in it, because now I'll have to wait till this is live before I can put it up. But I appreciate you reaching out and us having this dialogue.
Thank you.
Like I said, I think it fit the bill of what I said. You know, people that are passionate about mental health, talking about, you know, topics that could contribute to well-being and helpfulness. So thank you. And right at this close of Black History Month, the start of Sisterhood Month.
Black History 365. I know that. 365. So yeah, if you ever have a chance and we can kind of connect again, or if you want to create a series and we kind of go off of this, and that I would definitely be willing to do that. But thank you very much for your
For
time. Thank
sure,
you. Thank
absolutely,
you.
and like we got to go Facebook Live, because I want, you know, if we do it again, we got to get some real time
Okay.
feedback, because I you know, like, because people, you know how attention spans are, like that's a whole different conversation we can't get into, but this, like, I already see it's already on your, so you should be able to have access to it when I hit in.
Okay.
If there's any issues or anything like that, let me know, reach out. We got each other's numbers. So to anyone that views this, just, you know, utilize resources. We're out here. And when I say we, meaning helping professionals. If you are spiritual, I always tell people there's room for therapy and God. So
Yes, it is.
okay.
Yes, it is. All right now.
All right.
Appreciate
Good seeing you. All right. Talk soon.
Yeah.
All right. Bye-bye.